Afternoon and welcome to The Rundown. I am your host, Captivating Christian, and here are some of your top stories for today, the 28th of August. Hurricane Laura strengthens to a Category 4. The GOP's convention defends police as racial tensions arise anew. And who is Kyle Rittenhouse? The Jacob Blake's protest shooter is reportedly a white teen affiliated with cops, and at least 2 people were killed in the shooting. John Bolton says that the U.S. coronavirus response has been one mistake after another. The C.D.C. now says that people without COVID-19 symptoms do not need testing. The revision prompts confusion and alarm from experts who call the move potentially dangerous. American Airlines plans to stop serving 15 destinations. Let's get to the news. Hurricane Laura strengthens to a Category 4 storm Wednesday with maximum sustaining winds reaching about 150 miles per hour as it prepares to make landfall along the Texas and Louisiana border overnight. The rapidly intensifying storm is expected to inflict damage before and long after it makes landfall, and not just along the Gulf Coast. The National Weather Service has said devastation could spread far inland in eastern Texas and western Louisiana. Laura is set to become one of the most strongest hurricanes to make landfall in the continental United States. If sustained wind speeds remain at 150 miles per hour, Laura will become one of the 9 hurricanes to make landfall with 150 mile per hour winds intensity since 1851. The most recent to make landfall with winds at or above this speed was Hurricane Michael back in 2018. Good afternoon and welcome to The Rundown. I am Captivating Christian, and this is the favorite segment of the show where I give my personal thoughts on the stories for this afternoon. Welcome to everybody who's new. Please like, share, and subscribe. And to my Cap Hill reps, thank you so much for joining. Thank you. And remember, if you want to be the rep of the day, all you have to do is share the video. All right, so let's get into it. We are in hurricane season, and we have Hurricane Laurel actually headed towards the Gulf Coast. It will have hit landfall actually by the time you get this, because it is due to hit the coastlines of Texas and Louisiana overnight. So my prayers go out to all of you, making sure that you are staying safe. And if you are asked to evacuate, please do so. Do not try to be a vigilante and kind of wait out the storm. These winds have been reported to be up to 150 miles per hour, a Category 4 storm. So please, if you can, please do evacuate and stay safe. It is best that you do that instead of trying to wait the storm out. And once again, our prayers go out to those people in the Texas and Louisiana area by the coast. Other than that, we still have coronavirus, so please make sure that you are protecting yourself with that as well. And once again, thoughts and prayers are with you that everyone is safe and that hopefully this gets downgraded to a tropical storm and it is not as bad as being reported. So hopefully we can wake up to that news. But if not, please always remember to stay safe. Republicans aggressively defended law enforcement on the third night of their convention as the nation faced anew tensions following the police shooting of Jacob Blake, a black man in Wisconsin that sparked protests in a state that could decide the fall election. Vice President Mike Pence, the evening's featured speaker, seized on the national reckoning over racial injustice to argue that Democratic leaders are allowing lawlessness to prevail in cities from coast to coast. He and others described cities racked by violence, though protests in most locations have been largely peaceful. Pence never mentioned Blake, George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, or other black people who have been killed by police this year, sparking a new nationwide protest movement. Meanwhile, the sturdy image that Republicans were aiming to portray of President Donald Trump at the convention was running into turbulence outside of reality. The police shooting of Blake, age 29, in Kenosha, Wisconsin, the potential catastrophic hurricane bearing down on the Gulf Coast, wildfires that have ravaged huge areas of California and are still raging, the coronavirus pandemic that is killing more than 1,000 Americans a day, the historic carnage of the health, economic, and environmental as well as social emergencies and only increase the pressure on Trump as he looks to reshape the contours of his lagging campaign against former Vice President Joe Biden. With Election Day just 10 weeks off, early voting begins much sooner. Okay, so let's get into this National Republican Convention Day 3. Okay, when I thought that it couldn't get any worse than Day 1, and Day 2 wasn't as bad as Day 1, so I thought maybe we were progressing in a way in which it was still bad, but maybe not as bad, you can tolerate it. No, we went back to Day 1. So it's almost like Day 1 worse that you could ever think. Day 2, not as bad as Day 1, and Day 3 is just as bad as Day 1. I don't know what the hell is going on, but yeah, the stuff these people were saying, I mean, was literally turning my stomach, and I could not believe that a lot of the stuff that was coming out of the voices of the ethnic people of the party was ridiculous. The one that stuck out to me the most was that gentleman, and I don't know his name, and I don't care to know his name because I'm not trying to give nobody no power over here. But the gentleman who said that when Trump said, and I quote, that there were fine people on both sides, that he did not say that was the media. And it's like, are you freaking kidding me? He clearly said it out of his own mouth. Now, if you want to try and take it back, it is too late. He said it. It's out there. First thing you could do is just admit you said it and then say maybe I was wrong or you know, I didn't really mean to say that. I meant to say XYZ. However, you try to clean it up. But to really have people out there saying that you didn't say it when it's clearly there and said is ridiculous. And these people, you know, it was a lot of toting the Bible and God and Jesus and all this other mess. And this man does not even attend church. He's never been to church unless, I guess, he got married in one. Other than that, he does not attend church. He doesn't read the Bible, any of that. So it's just feeding into a base of people who themselves are religious hypocrites. So I really didn't understand it. As far as the racial unrest that is going on in the nation, and for the president and vice president, well, the vice president, actually it was his day, for the vice president not to mention it, not even in a way to at least give respect to those who have passed, ridiculous. To furthermore feed into this frenzy of, oh, listen, we need the police to protect us from them, is ridiculous. It's just not even proven. There is nothing you can prove. It's always been this fear mongering of somebody coming to attack you. And you know where that comes from? That comes from them knowing that the level of their oppression and the things that they have done, they are guilty for doing them. So it's always you better protect yourself, because if you don't, they're going to come and get you for what you've done. It's the same thing that people feared about freeing slaves. Oh, we can't free them because if we free them, they're going to come and attack us and take our land. Like, get over yourselves, okay? If we wanted to do it, we would have been done it. We're not built that way. Now, granted, don't keep pushing people and doing things like shooting somebody in the back 7 times in front of their kids, or killing a woman, Breonna Taylor, and the police has yet to been brought to justice on that. It's ridiculous. Like, how can you sit here and talk about equality for all, and these black lives have not and will not matter to you? So I don't understand how you can on one hand say, oh, we have to stop this and there must be law and order in every city and street. No, that law and order bull crap and all that talk is mainly, again, to tell the base that, hey, listen, we're going to put as much force on these inner city and these people, these black and brown people, as much as we can to keep them in line and keep them in order. It's enough. It is really enough. It makes your stomach turn. I can't talk about it anymore. I am done. Please, November, come here. Please, everybody, vote. Get out and vote. I don't care if you got to stand in line for an hour, 2. People take turns. Bring a team with you so everybody can take turns standing in line and jumping in and jumping out. I don't know, but something has to be done because this is really getting ridiculous. And that's all I have to say about that. Officials arrested and were set to charge 17-year-old male with first-degree murder for a deadly shooting rampage that killed at least 2 people and injured at least 1 other at a protest for a police shooting of an unarmed black man last weekend in Wisconsin. Kyle Rittenhouse was arrested Wednesday in Illinois, according to a tweet from the USA Today. The person who is seen on video firing a rifle Tuesday night at people during a protest over police shooting of an unarmed black man in Wisconsin has been identified as a white teenager affiliated with police, according to unconfirmed reports on social media. As of Wednesday morning, police in the town of Kenosha had not announced an official suspect. However, social media were claiming that the shooter was Kyle Rittenhouse, a teenager who allegedly has an affiliation with the local law enforcement. And this story right here, this young 17-year-old is the exact product of all that vile and bile stuff, bile being waste product, that Mike Pence from day 1 all the way to day 3 has spewed out to this country. That is exactly the product of what all that talk of them and us, that's what that produces. That 17-year-old kid with a gun walking out in the street, shooting people, before then walks by the police with his gun and nothing happens. But had that been a person of color with a gun, that man would have, or that woman would have so many holes in them right now, and they would be justified because that person had a gun. And they would sit there and go, oh, well, the person had a gun and we told them to put the gun down and they didn't comply. So, we filled them full of holes. And the fact that they seen him and didn't do nothing to him or even detain him, but they wind up giving him a bottle of water and cheering him is ridiculous. And if there, I've been told allegedly that there is video footage of them congratulating this young man and giving him a bottle of water. And if that is the case, then those officers need to be fired, period. But of course, we're not going to get that. We barely get justice for the people that they kill anyway. And, who knows what's going to happen to this young man. But my whole thing is that right there is the reason, that what gives birth to all that talk about them, us. We can't let them bring their Section 8 housing into our areas. All of that breeds that. All of the talk before of Obama not being a citizen, and he's from Kenya, all of that bred Donald Trump. All of that hatred of the Tea Party disguising themselves as an actual party when it was just full of racists, bred somebody like Donald Trump. And now Donald Trump's language and his verbiage has bred this 17-year-old and others like him. So are we just supposed to sit around and be like the Purge, be actually gun targets for people? Get the hell out of here. So this is totally crazy. Enough's enough. I would have thought that when that man went into that Arizona meeting with Gabby Giffords and shot her up and the rest of her party because somebody as smart as Sarah Palin was putting crosshairs on Democratic lawmakers, okay? That somebody actually took it upon themselves to go to a meeting, a town hall, and shoot it up, that we would have learned our lesson in being careful about the language that we use because people actually follow it. But obviously, we have dumb mofos that constantly keep repeating this garbage, and then you have people like this thing coming out with his gun like it's target practice, like he's actually living a video game of Call of Duty or whatever the bullshit is, and actually killing people. This is crazy. I've had enough. I'm over it. I really am over it. If you don't get out and vote, then I need you to just go bury yourself, because that's exactly what you're doing. If you don't vote, if you don't have a problem with what this is, then you know what you can do? You can put yourself in your finest clothes. Hopefully your insurance is paid, and just dig yourself a hole, because you have just killed yourself. Hey, this is Captivating Christian here to remind you to tune in to Politics and Wellness every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Politics and Wellness every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. You never know what you might get. Former White House National Security Advisor John Bolton on Wednesday torched the Trump administration's response to the coronavirus pandemic. The lack of national strategy has prompted one mistake after the other. To this day, the Trump administration does not have a coronavirus strategy. Now, they may yet get the benefit of it. Recent polls apparently show concern with the virus diminishing as a political matter, so that they may be able to tough their way through it. But it has just been one mistake after the other. His comments come in the middle of the Republican National Convention, where Trump's campaign has sought to gloss over the president's delayed response to the pandemic that has claimed more than 178 American lives, according to the Johns Hopkins University data. Alright, so this particular one, John Bolton talking about the coronavirus pandemic is the worst mistake the Trump administration has done, and it keeps, making mistakes over and over and over again. You know what, John Bolton? I really don't care about anything John Bolton has to say, because if you're such a patriot and you're such about the original Republican ideas, then you should have said something a long time ago instead of being silent and complicit and allowing this president to do all this stuff. Then all of a sudden you want to write a book, and now because you want to write a book, now you want to talk and you want to say everything or talk your grievances. I think it's a bunch of bull. I really don't have no time for it, and I don't even understand why these people give him airtime. You want to give him airtime? Let him talk on his Audible book about whatever grievances he has. Other than that, I don't want to hear nothing from John Bolton. He's a waste of space, a waste of time, and he can take his decrepit, sickly, Quaker Oats looking man and go have a bowl of oatmeal and shut the hell up. I don't want to hear anything from John Bolton. He makes me sick. He gets on my nerves. Again, because if he would have been such a patriot, then he should have opened his goddamn mouth and said something against the president when he had the time to. The fact that he has not until he was deciding to sell a book is ridiculous. And it tells you that you're not as much as a patriot as you try to claim to be. So you can keep your dollar late short ass with this, oh well, they're just making mistakes and time again, and this is the worst that this administration has done to handle a crisis. Oh, save it, okay? Save it. Have plenty seats somewhere in the back of a stadium full of people with coronavirus, okay? And be sure to join Jay Wilson, Rebel Sun, The Official Kingpin, Conscious TV, and Captivating Christian this and every Thursday at 6:45 Central Standard Time, 7:45 Eastern Standard Time for the Gentleman's Panel, where we are not afraid to go there and discuss an array of topics. See you there. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention quietly modified its coronavirus testing guidelines this week to exclude people who do not have symptoms of the COVID-19, even if they have been recently exposed to the virus. Experts question the revision, pointing to the importance of identifying infections in small windows immediately before the onset of symptoms, when many individuals appear to be mostly contagious. Models suggest that about half of the transmissions events can be traced back to individuals still in the so-called pre-symptomatic stage, before they started to feel ill, if they ever felt sick at all. The newest version, which was posted on Monday, amended the agency's guidelines to say that people who have been in close contact with an infected individual, typically defined as being within 6 feet of a person with the coronavirus and for at least 15 minutes, do not necessarily need a test, but if they do not have symptoms. The agency noted that might be made for vulnerability individuals, or if healthcare providers or states or local public health officials recommend testing. Okay, so here we go. Follow me here. So Dr. Anthony Fauci has a procedure done, and the minute he has a procedure done, the CDC then goes behind his back and changes the guidelines. Now, let's all use our thinking caps. They are changing the guidelines for what? Ding, 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 ding. The election is coming. So to stop spewing out these numbers of how many people are infected with coronavirus as the numbers grow well into the almost 5 million, 6 million people infected, and the number of deaths creeping on up to 200,000 almost. They want to stop it so it can stop being played throughout the media during the election, so people will not decide whether or not to vote for President Donald Trump again due to his lack of this coronavirus pandemic, keeping it under control. So of course they're trying to squash it. Now this is the same place that during this whole convention, all they keep talking about is freedom. If you want to be free, if you want to be free, if you want to be free. Well, freedom would mean that if there is an opposition to you, that those people could still say, hey, you did not do this job well. You did not handle this well. And this is the result of that. That is freedom. Freedom is not when you try to squash something, get rid of the actual numbers so that way it does not look bad for you. So now what these new guidelines are basically saying in a nutshell is that, hey, if you don't show any symptoms of coronavirus, but yet someone has been infected that or you've been around with coronavirus, you don't necessarily have to get tested. Now, that leads to a whole lot of dangers because then you don't know if you've been infected at some point, and then you may wind up spreading it to somebody else, which continues this whole petri dish of like handing this disease out. And as long as the numbers don't look bad and he doesn't report who has what and when they got it, then what does he care? He doesn't care. So this is all a cover-up to, again, stop the numbers from being shown and stop people from going, oh my gosh, look at these numbers. They're rising up. He really doesn't know what he's doing. He can't control this, and actually go and vote for someone who they feel can control this rising pandemic. That's all this is. Nothing more, nothing less. It is just to cover it up so he can have good numbers during this election. And what we need to do as a people, find the numbers, follow the numbers, continue the same guidelines. Do not go running around people and going, well, he said it's okay. I'm just, go around this person, even if I know this person has had the coronavirus. I think that's ridiculous. So at this point, we need to, by far, start protecting ourselves and keeping ourselves safe, because this president, this commander-in-chief is not a commander at all. Far from a chief. He's a low-down, bankrupt. I won't even give him a businessman. But he's a salesman. He is a salesman. I'll give him that. He's a salesman because he sold y'all some wolf tickets, and a lot of y'all mofos bought him. He's definitely a salesman. He will sell you a lemon in a minute. American Airlines says that it plans to cancel service to over 15 cities as federal aid expires in October. The airline said on Thursday that it will cancel 700 flights in October, leaving at least 8 airports without any commercial air service. American warned that more cities could be cut if Congress doesn't provide additional assistance to airlines. Flights to most destinations continued as airlines received stimulus money during the height of the coronavirus pandemic. That money came with stipulations to maintain service to airports that carries already service. American is the first airline to announce this move, and without an extension to that stimulus money, more are expected to follow. Layoffs are also a concern in October. Airline worker unions are pushing hard for Congress to approve a $25 billion in payroll support to keep workers in their jobs for another 6 months. Okay, can anybody say we did not see this coming? Because we did. So, of course, American Airlines is scheduled to cancel a lot of their flights. Almost 700 flights, and a lot of their hubs are going to close because they do not have the money to sustain their business during this pandemic. Like a whole lot of businesses, they will have to cut back in order to stay afloat. And the longer Congress, and not just the House, but also the Senate, fumbles back and forth with actually giving relief to a lot of these businesses, a lot of people will lose their job. So as much as they sit there and fight about an extra $600, some people will actually need that extra $600 just to live because their job will be non-existent. But of course, we're too busy, again, concerned about how things look, what optics look like when people are actually suffering. You think people are on unemployment for vacation? No, they're on unemployment because somebody knew about a pandemic last year in November and did nothing about it. And then to the point where now all you want to do is talk about, well, the China virus. Yeah, that same China virus, that same China virus when China was going back and forth to Mar-a-Lago way before this pandemic, and you had such a good relationship with the president of China? That China? Yeah, that China. But now we want to act like you've never had this cozying relationship with China, right? And your daughter never got all these licenses from China, right? Right. And then we're going to also act like your son-in-law's sister did not have the, highest bidder tours that they were doing for people or tourists from China, right? Paying top dollar, hundreds of thousands of dollars in the hope to get a meeting with you in either D.C., right? Or Mar-a-Lago. The same reason why that one Chinese woman who was like, they found out she was kind of a spy or whatever, was able to get access to you at Mar-a-Lago because she bought for these wolf tickets through your son-in-law's sister, right? And their family business, right? So cut me with the malarkey. It's full of crap. It is just like, I'm over it. Over all of it. So anyway, getting back to it. Yeah, American Airlines is going to have to cut a whole lot of stuff. They might wind up even shutting down for a bit if Congress doesn't act and give them some money. However, people are still taking flights. So, I don't know. Maybe that just means American Airlines, you're going to have to cut your staff and cut your prices. I don't know. We don't know what this new business model will look like after the dust has settled with this coronavirus. But as of right now, yeah, it's not looking pretty, not just for American Airlines, but for a lot of the travel agencies, as well as businesses and stores and restaurants and so on and so forth. So to sit here and act like, oh yeah, we're just sitting on unemployment or whatever we're doing and waiting for everything to open back up so we can go to business as usual, it won't be until we figure this corona thing out. And as far as, them not wanting to setting new guidelines to where in which you're not even going to test everybody to find out who's symptomatic, who's asymptomatic, and who's not, who may be infected and who is not, because you don't want, the numbers and the figures to come out, then how are you expecting to just go back to business as usual, infecting more people, having them work? Please explain it. Somebody. Write it in the chat, comments, somewhere, because I'm confused. Somebody help me understand, because I don't get it. But anyway, thanks. Hopefully you enjoyed. Please like, share, subscribe. Have a great day. And don't forget, the Gentleman's Panel will be tonight on Conscious TV's channel, so make sure you tune in. Peace. Once again, thank you for watching CCN Midday News. Hope you enjoyed. Please like, share, and subscribe. Also hit that notification button so you will never miss another news update. Have a great day. Peace.